Welcome to Sophie Daddy's channel. I'm so glad you're here today because we are going to unpack something absolutely fascinating. You know, when most people picture a quantitative hedge fund, they imagine this lone, brilliant mathematician sitting in a dark room, just scribbling away at a single magical equation that perfectly predicts the stock market, right? Well, the reality of modern algorithmic trading is completely different. The true secret, the real, sustainable competitive advantage, isn't a single equation at all. It's the overarching factory system. It's this incredibly complex architectural blueprint that dictates how a tiny spark of an idea actually journeys all the way to becoming a live, money-making deployment. So in today's explainer, we're taking a guided tour inside this highly guarded modern quantitative engine.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our factory tour map for today. We've got 6 quick stops. First, the blueprint, then raw materials, the R&D lab, the assembly line, quality control, and finally, next-gen upgrades. Let's get moving. Stop number 1 on our tour, the blueprint, where we look at engineering alpha.
To really understand why these funds are built the way they are, we kind of have to wrap our heads around the core conflict of the industry. It's this concept called alpha decay. Alpha, which is basically a fancy word for the competitive edge or the excess return a strategy makes, well, it decays incredibly fast in today's hyper-connected markets. A profitable trading signal that used to last for months, yeah, that now loses its value in days, or honestly, sometimes even hours, as other algorithms catch on and trade the anomaly away. So what does this all mean? It means a fund's main differentiator is no longer just having a brilliant isolated idea. It's all about the speed of its research to production pipeline. Because if it takes you months to deploy a mathematical model, your alpha is literally dead on arrival. The entire system itself and how fast it moves has become the actual edge.
And this brings us to a massive technological shift happening across the industry right now. Older funds, they relied heavily on these legacy monolithic systems. We're talking giant, cumbersome, on-premise application silos where just updating a model or deploying new code could literally take 6 months. That completely breaks the whole quant wheel, right? But today's modern system, it relies on a hybrid cloud microservices architecture. By breaking everything down into these elastic, containerized parts governed by orchestration systems, think Kubernetes, a modern fund can get a model deployed, safely tested, and live in just 6 hours. 6 hours versus 6 months. That monumental speed difference is everything. It's literally the difference between capturing a massive opportunity and just capturing air.
Moving right along to stop number 2, raw materials. This is the data foundation.
So a factory is obviously only as good as the raw materials it processes, right? And the foundation here is a centralized data lakehouse. This massive system ingests and purifies everything, from standard nanosecond market ticks and SEC filings, all the way to super messy alternative data, like raw satellite imagery or credit card transactions. But honestly, processing massive volume isn't even the biggest hurdle. It's maintaining accuracy through time. And this brings us to a crucial concept: point-in-time or PIT data. Imagine a data scientist runs a historical simulation, a backtest. They absolutely must only use information that was actually known at that exact microsecond. For example, if a company restates their earnings a year later, the backtest cannot accidentally use those updated numbers. Because if it does, you've essentially built a time machine to cheat on your backtest. In quantitative finance, that is the ultimate sin. It leads to massive real-world losses because the model thinks it's way smarter than it actually is. So by using a bitemporal model, the database strictly records both when an event happened and when the market actually found out about it. It completely eliminates this dangerous look-ahead bias.
Okay, stop number 3, the R&D lab. This is where we build the alpha engine.
Now that we've got clean, point-in-time data firmly secured, researchers step into this elastic, Kubernetes-powered sandbox. Here, data scientists can spin up massive computing power to build, test, and safely scale all kinds of machine learning models. And they do this entirely isolated from the live trading environment, so there's zero chance of destabilizing anything. Now, inside this lab, they aren't looking for one magical model to rule them all. No way. Instead, they're building a highly diversified portfolio of algorithms. A really robust fund will use tree-based models, like XGBoost, as their dependable workhorse for structured tabular data. Then they'll bring in time series LSTMs to spot those subtle momentum changes and mean reversions. They're even using state-of-the-art transformers, yeah, the ones borrowed straight from natural language processing, to seamlessly fuse text from news articles with price histories. And they're even using graph neural networks to map out complex relational node relationships. Imagine predicting exactly how a supply chain shock at a tiny microchip plant is going to ripple out to global automakers days later. It's just a beautifully diversified approach to capturing alpha across entirely different market dynamics.
But, here's the catch. Having all those fancy, cutting-edge models is actually incredibly dangerous if you don't know exactly what they're doing beneath the surface. That's why explainable AI tools, specifically SHAP, act as this absolute mandatory quality control step. A chief investment officer will use SHAP to literally peek inside the black box of these models. They need to be absolutely sure the firm isn't accidentally deploying 20 different models that, all just happen to be secretly relying on the exact same overfitted factor, like just blindly buying massive tech stocks. Because if they were, that's not diversification. That's a ticking time bomb just waiting for a sector downturn.
So the crucial point is this. Machine learning operations, or MLOps, in finance is exponentially harder and way more fraught with peril than it is in the traditional tech industry. Think about it. If a massive streaming service like Netflix has a bug in its recommendation algorithm, what happens? It might accidentally suggest a truly terrible movie to a user. It's annoying, for sure, but totally survivable. But if a quantitative hedge fund has a bug in its financial trading pipeline, that can literally bankrupt the firm in a matter of minutes. The cost of error is absolute, and the systems, they have to reflect that extreme, zero-tolerance environment.
This brings us right to stop number 4, the assembly line, also known as the MLOps pipeline.
Because that risk of bankruptcy is so absolute, we enter the assembly line. This is a heavily industrialized pipeline that safely shepherds these fragile little machine learning models out of the pristine research lab and into the brutal, messy reality of live trading. And this pipeline is basically a rigorous, fully automated 4-step deployment checklist. First, a researcher pushes their code to a repository like Git, which instantly triggers an automatic continuous integration backtest on the entire historical dataset. If it passes that hurdle, it gets containerized. It's locked into an isolated environment so it behaves exactly as it did in research. That completely gets rid of those "it worked on my machine" excuses. Then it enters shadow trading, and only after conclusively passing that phase does it finally move to a live deployment. This whole automated, Git-driven pipeline is fundamentally a mathematical risk management system absolutely designed to gate broken models from ever touching real money.
Let's talk a bit more about that shadow trading phase, because it acts as a critical airlock for the entire factory. Before a single cent of real capital is risked, the new containerized model is dropped right into the live market, but it only trades with fake money. The entire system just sits back and carefully watches it. It compares its hypothetical profits, its execution slippage, and its real-world computing latencies directly against what its initial backtest promised it would do. Basically, it forces the model to prove its exact worth in real time, accounting for the messy reality of the stock exchange. Only when it proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that it can survive this airlock will a human portfolio manager confidently flip the switch to allocate real capital.
And that takes us to stop number 5, quality control, specifically risk and portfolio optimization. Once the models are live, they're generating hundreds, sometimes thousands of raw buy and sell signals every single second. But here's the thing, raw signals aren't a cohesive strategy. This is where a massive mathematical optimizer steps in and essentially takes over as the brain of the operation. If you're running a market-neutral long-short fund, you are legally mandated to prove you are making money from pure algorithmic skill, not just riding a generalized bull market upward. So the optimizer takes all those raw signals and meticulously pairs them, and this brilliantly illustrates how it matches long positions with short positions to entirely hedge out the overall market risk, specific industry risks, and stylistic volatility. What remains at the end, that distinct 10% slice you see there, is pure, unhedged, idiosyncratic alpha. It's the true isolated edge of the algorithms, fundamentally protected from the wild swings of the broader market. But the optimizer doesn't just operate in some static vacuum. Oh no. It uses transaction cost analysis, or TCA, as a live dynamic feedback loop. As the firm is executing trades in real life, the system is constantly measuring slippage. That's the painful difference between the price the algorithm originally wanted and the price it actually managed to secure in the market. The optimizer uses this live data to learn in real time. If it realizes that trying to buy 100,000 shares of some illiquid, small-cap stock is causing massive market impact and actively driving the price up against itself, it will immediately adapt. It slows down, and it stops suggesting those mathematically expensive trades. It's a highly self-correcting organism.
Finally, our last stop, number 6, next-gen upgrades. Let's look at the future of the factory.
The systems we just explored are already incredible marvels of engineering. But in finance, the arms race never truly stops.
Firms are currently installing two major, totally paradigm-shifting technologies to maintain their velocity and their edge. First up, large language models. Now, they aren't predicting stock prices directly. Instead, they are the ultimate unstructured feature generators. They're instantly reading millions of pages of complex earnings transcripts and global news feeds to quantify human sentiment and pinpoint supply chain risks way faster than any human analyst ever could. They're also acting as actual quant co-pilots, literally writing complex research code on the fly to accelerate testing. Meanwhile, reinforcement learning is slowly but surely taking over trade execution. RL agents are actively learning how to optimally slice massive institutional orders into the market to perfectly hide their footprints from those predatory high-frequency traders. And in the ultimate endgame, some funds are actively testing RL agents to replace the human-designed portfolio optimizer entirely, allowing the machine to learn holistic portfolio balancing strictly through trial and error.
Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. We've seen how the modern quant firm has fully transitioned away from relying on single-star mathematicians and moved toward this relentless, automated factory pipeline, a pipeline that ingests the data, rigorously tests the models, hedges the risk, and executes the trades. With large language models now stepping in to actually write the code itself and reinforcement learning rapidly taking over the deep trading logic, you really have to wonder how long until humans are entirely removed from the factory floor, leaving the machines to run the market completely on their own. It's a fascinating, and let's be real, perhaps slightly terrifying future. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep questioning how the systems around us really work.